Well, on the 1st of May, Nigerian workers joined their counterparts across the world to celebrate contributions of workforce, as well as the vital roles they play in building productive economies. It is also a day that reflects on the status of workers and their rights across the states and local governments across the country, especially challenges of prompt payment of salaries and allowances, state of welfare, promotion, safety in the workplace, and condition of service, among others. Article 17(3)(c) of the 1999 Constitution, as amended, ensures and projects the health, safety, and welfare of all employees. How are state governments conforming with the law, and how effective are the labor unions influencing state governments to implement minimum wage as well as other benefits? On this episode of Nigeria Today, we shall be looking at empowering workers at the state level. Thanks for joining us. I am Eucharia Clinton. Welcome to Nigeria Today. Joining us via Zoom from Lokoja is Hamza Aliyu. He is Executive Director, Initiative for Grassroots Advancement in Nigeria. Glad to have you on Nigeria Today, Hamza.
Good evening. Glad to be here too.
And here in the studio is Abubakar Al-Hassan Yakub. He is immediate past NLC Chairman FCT and immediate past FCT Nolge President. You're welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Now, I'll start with you, Hamza. Now, tell us. I know you are, of the grassroots. You of course you speak with these. You work with people from the grassroots. Now, what is the condition of service for majority of state and local government workers in Nigeria, from your, experience?
Thank you. I think it's right for me to say Happy Workers' Day to workers. It's a time to reflect and review the successes we've gotten so far. So back to your question. Yes, condition of service. Of course, it is not. It's a no-brainer to say that workers at the federal level seem to have a better condition of service, better working condition, better pay. But to be fair to some of the states, especially if you look at the state where I'm coming from and looking at the journey where we're coming from right now, we'll say that the condition of service for workers in Kogi State has been a little bit less than what is desirable, but it's a work in progress. A lot of workers feel that they don't get their salaries as when due. The environment of their service, because the equipment they need to do to carry out their work is not being provided as at when due, and a lot of other issues. It's even worse when you get down to the local government level. You get to see a lot of very sad conditions for workers. But overall, it has not been a very pleasant story to tell both at the state and the local government level. Some states seems to have it better than other states, but it's far worse at the local government level, where you get to see a lot of workers go months on end without salaries, without allowances. The promotions are not gotten as at when due, and the other issues around the condition of service is not very palatable. And so we want to join the
It's like we have a little bit of network issues there, but he's made some valid points. Now, Abubakar, he's made quite. I know you are from you work with the local government employees, and of course, I know you have quite experience in this area. Now, talk to us. What, from your experience and you've worked, with some of this. I know you are of the FCT, but then, of course, you have meetings with some of these other representatives from other states. So tell us, what's the condition of service?
Thank you. Let me also join Nigerian workers to congratulate us for coming this far. Even some have to go to their graves without their entitlements being paid in most cases. Like he rightly pointed out, the FCT case might be slightly different because the state workers here are the FCDA, FCT workers, while we in the area councils are the local government workers. The case here is slightly different, like I said, because salaries here, especially at FCT, FCDA, is paid as a when due. In the area councils, some area councils pay before 30th. I can make bold to mention Abaji, Amak, Kwali. They pay their salaries before 30th. But others, like Gwagwalada, like Kuje, mostly have delays. So, but in terms of remuneration, our payment here differs from the state because we assume, or it's not an assumption, we are at the federal level. Whatever is due to federal workers is also due to local government workers in the FCT because we go to the same market, we take our children to the same schools, we apply the same transportation system. So, but we now have some kind of problem when it comes to implementation. When it is given to the federal and the FCT, the chairman will want us to come cap in hand begging before they implement. But this is a federal government directive. This is a federal government circular. So even like the minimum wage, it took us over a year and a half before it was implemented in the area council. And as we speak, they just started paying us arrears of 25 months. Some councils have paid 5 months. Some have paid 10 months so far. So that is the situation we have in the FCT. But that in itself could demoralize workers. That in itself could make workers feel, why am I putting in my all to make the system work? So that's where we are. But we are better off.
So what can you tell us about other states?
Other states, it's a very pathetic situation. Pathetic situation in the sense that in the FCT we have elected local government chairmen and councillors. Most states don't have. Therefore, this local government itself in its operational system, it's bad. You don't even get salaries. I think it's from Kogi State, the man that has spoken. Before now, they were getting 30% salary per month, 20%. Somebody who is on level maybe 10 will be receiving 15,000, 20,000 to take home. Where is he going to start from? So there are even states that are still paying less than 10,000 as salaries in local government. States like Zamfara and Co. So we have such situations where people, federal government will give a directive, there will be a law. Minimum wage is a law. Yet, a lot of states did not implement it. And now we're talking about review. And the NLC is proposing 615. So where do we go from there? So if local government to be able to work, that is why the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees in the last 5-6 years have been pursuing the issue of autonomy for the local government.
Okay. Now, thank you very much. Now, Hamza, earlier you talked about how it has been with, the state where you are, and of course some other states in the country. And Abubakar also corroborated that fact that some states are also, not having it too good, even though here in the FCT they are enjoying is different. Okay. Now, some of the states, like you rightly said, are not able to implement. We're not able to implement the 30,000 naira minimum wage, and now we have, a new minimum wage on the way. So, what would you say to this? You know, how can we navigate these kind of murky waters? You know, not being able to implement the former 30,000 and now we're having a new one. How can we make it work to ensure that workers in the states and local governments enjoy what even the federal government workers are enjoying?
Well, I think I want to thank my brother in the studio. He made mention that Kogi has been a very peculiar case in the last 8 years, and it was a very sorry sight. The present administration, yes, they are trying. They seem to have made a little bit of dent in terms of paying of salaries as at when due, and they have made a little bit of dent in paying local government staffs. We're hearing it's up to 85% of their salary. No, Kogi was notorious for paying percentage salaries to local governments, and so all the issues he mentioned about the challenges in the local government system it's very prevalent in Kogi State. And so back to your question, how do we ensure that workers get their bite, their what they deserve after a day's job? I think this centralized negotiating that we do seem not to really help the situation, because all states are not equal. And so I don't think there should be a blanket price or a blanket amount they should pay per state and it should cut across everybody. No, I think each state should negotiate what it can pay its own staff. States that are very buoyant should go ahead and negotiate a higher one. Their workers should negotiate higher pay, while those that are less buoyant can negotiate a lower one. But there should be a minimum, and that minimum should be what everybody should boil into. And I think that 30% should have been the minimum that, as it was negotiated, all state governors should have stood and ensure that they implement that 30%. I don't know why the labor unions at the state level are not as assertive and as efficient as they are at the national level. We seem to have a union most times at the state level that are at the behest of the governors. And so it's very sad when you see certain states. The comrade in the studio mentioned Zamfara, Abia, Taraba, that are still not able to pay the 30,000 naira minimum wage. And we still don't have anything we'll do about it. And so it's very sad that we have NLC and workers union in those states, and we don't have this kind of push. So for me, I would suggest that, yes, there should be a minimum standard that all states should subscribe to, but every state should go and negotiate what it can pay above that minimum. And I think the workers should be more assertive in demanding for this right when the states are not able to do so.
Thank you very much. Now, Abubakar, now, what really explains the variation in the adoption and implementation of, the minimum wage across different states? Because some states seem to be doing very well. They don't have a problem with paying, the former. Some might even increase even before the new minimum wage has been announced. Some have increased. Why, some are even finding it difficult to implement the opened
Madam, the truth
price
of the matter is that people are just not being sincere. How can a state governor be traveling with over 20 cars? What for? Did you know how much it costs to fuel one vehicle? And you are traveling with about 20? You will fuel all these 20 vehicles. You carry more than maybe 60, 70 personnel. We can cut down on government costs. Do you know how much they take for security and for security votes per month? These are expenses that are unnecessary. So they can cut down on some of these things. And if they do cut down on some of these costs, they will be able to pay. We have the resources. It's just as our political elites are wicked.
No, I don't want you to use that word.
Okay, sorry.
Wicked.
They just because they know I withdraw that. But they know for the fact that people are suffering. They know it. So why can't they do something that will elevate the suffering of these people? They travel abroad, they see the system working there, they go attend conferences, and they see what they do there. They come here and think, and you expect them to implement it. It will just be on paper. Let me give you an example. I was privileged to attend a seminar in NIPS, and we went there with elected chairman at that time in 2016 to look at agriculture or ways of generating IGR for the various local governments. to be able to, you know, beef up what their revenue is from what will come from the federal allocation. We came back, we asked, every council was asked to look at where it had a comparative advantage. Either when they're representing workers, did a report. No, none of the area councils did their report. So it was just like a jamboree. So we went there, we got the lectures, and it was not used for anything. So that is the situation we find ourselves. So no state, every state can fund this thing. 30,000 minimum wage, every state can. But they don't want to cut on some of those costs so that they'll be able to pay. It's as simple as that. We are not a poor country.
Okay, but some, just like Hamzat says, some states are not that buoyant to pay.
The minimum, 30,000 was the minimum. Okay? Edo was able to pay even above 30,000 at that time. Lagos was able to pay above 30,000 at that time. Rivers was also able to pay 30,000.
You're talking about the big state here.
No, of course they are big. So it's a minimum.
Okay.
It's a minimum.
So, Hamza, you heard all Abubakar here had to say. Now, how important is it for workers, you know, to be empowered at the state and local government level?
Well, I think I understand where Abubakar is coming from, and it's sad that the local government, like he mentioned in his opening remarks, that the local government system has been bastardized. The politics at the local government system is non-existent, and it's both a constitutional issue and a political issue that our governments and our people, we as a people, it's a conversation we must have, and we must come to an agreement. What do we do about the local government system? Whether we want it to work or whether we want to scrap it. Because as we speak right now, the local government system doesn't seem to exist anywhere. States have already cornered the local government system and they are running with it. And to answer your question, it really begs the question to what do we expect people who are paid peanuts? If you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. What do you expect when you pay people 14,000 naira a month? A worker on level 14 in the local system is earning 14,000 naira as take-home pay. What do you expect? What kind of service do you expect from that kind of system? So it means that if we want better service, then we need to ensure that we pay our workers better, because the civil service is the cornerstone of every government. Without a very viable and viral civil service, you will not be able to get anything in terms of the dividends of democracy on top of governance. And so it's high time that, and I like as Abubakar put it, that yes, we should not give some call names that are not pleasant. But of course, because of the emotions attached to this, you're forced to use words like that, because we seem not to have gotten our act together as in terms of politics at local level by our politicians. And when we mean politicians, it includes us on this divide. Today we are on this divide. Tomorrow, when we get there and we see that the system is favoring us, we want to change it. This has been the recurrent circle day in, day out since 1999. And so we need to begin to ask ourselves, what kind of civil service do we want? What kind of workforce do we want at that level? And if we want a very effective one, then we must pay. You must pay people to do the work that you want them to pay. So I think it's a conversation that we must have going forward.
Thank you very much. Now back to you, Abubakar. You know, what strategies can labor unions adopt to be the relationship, you know, with the state government to ensure that workers are treated well at the local government level and the state level? I'm emphasizing this because they are the, you know, the worst hit when you talk about, you know, condition of service, poor condition of service, and even some have been, promotions have been delayed at the local government, just like he rightly cited in the first remark. Some, you know, I know of a case, she's been on level 8 for over like 10 years in the local government, you know. So what kind of relationship?
Just like I tried to emphasize at the onset, in the FCT, we don't have a backlog of promotions. But they could be a little bit delayed. But like 2024, they just sent in the letters for 2024 promotions today to various area councils. So that means we're still within 2024. So the promotion will be carried out this year. But I know in states, most states, they don't do it that way. People will be in one grade level for God knows how many years. But the thing is that, just like we're saying, to us in the trade union or in NOLGI, local government autonomy is the answer. Because just like you find out the federal civil service is in the constitution, the state civil service is the constitution, local government service is not the constitution. Therefore, whoever you appoint there is at the whims and caprices of whoever has appointed him. So he might just do whatever. If the governor does not like promotions because it will add to cost of running the local government, he will tell him not to do it. So we need such things to be done. We need funds meant for local government to be given to local government. In most states, Bureau for Local Government pays salary of local government workers, not the local government itself. So you don't pay me. I don't get salary from you. I get from one agency. My loyalty will be to that agency, not to the council where I work. So those are some of the things. So another thing is that we in the trade union also have some blames.
Okay, now I wanted to come to that because Hamza raised that issue. He said the labor union should be more assertive to ensure that workers are treated right.
Yes.
So do you think they are not that assertive right now?
The truth of the matter, I won't remove myself from it. The truth of the matter is that most of us have abandoned that ideology of unionism. Just like he pointed out, especially at the state levels of the NLC. The national body has done enough to make sure that state governors do not interfere with the elections of the NLC state chairman. But it's difficult. There are cases in the last election that the President Joe Ajaero had to even make sure that certain states, the election is cancelled because the state governor insists this is the person he wants. So where you have such people at the helm of affairs at the state, what do you expect? So the truth of the matter is that we must come back and look at why we're elected and know that we are responsible to God Almighty who gave us this opportunity because we will account for it when we die. Those privileges given to us by God, how did we manage it?
Okay.
So until we do that, we might begin to continue to have some of these problems.
So Hamza, give us your closing thought. What is the way forward, to ensure that workers at the state and local government level have an improved condition of service, good welfare, and of course they get their promotion as at when due?
I think what I would say is that unless we get our politics right, we will not get our governance right. It's very sad that we expect too much from a process where we don't really take part in. Who becomes a governor is as important as who becomes a local government chairman, because from the challenges we've identified with the local government system, if we don't have a constitutional reform where the local government is independent, we're always going to have this problem where governors are going to pocket the local government system. And of course, it means they're pocketing the workers' welfare. And so I think, in the long run, we'll have to look at the constitutional issues to clear out the areas where local government should come in and then give them their financial independence. But above all, like the comrade said in the studio, it's important that workers take be more assertive. They will take their destiny in their hand and know that they have to always come out, and when there's a reason to go to court, go to court. When there's a reason to go on strike. When there's a reason to negotiate. But you must engage the system. We cannot leave the system on its own. We can't leave politics on its own. We must engage the system constructively and critically so that we get what is there, what is right, and what is rightfully ours. And so I hope going forward, the NLC will use this as a learning, as a review mechanism to look at what is good and what they can do better going forward, especially at the state and local government levels.
Thank you very much. At this point, we'll draw the curtain for today's episode of Nigeria Today. We appreciate our guest. Via Zoom from Lokoja, we had Hamza Aliyu, the Executive Director, Initiative for Grassroots Advancement in Nigeria. Thank you so much for your thoughts. And also here in the studio, we had Abubakar Al-Hassan Yakub, who's immediate past NLC chairman, FCT, and also the immediate past FCT Nolge president. Thank you so much for your time and your thoughts.
My pleasure.
And thank you for being part of the program. Don't forget, Nigeria Today airs weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also check out these episodes and others on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. I am your carrier, Clinton. Goodbye.